Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to the Inner Heart podcast. This is our bonus episode with a old friend of mine, and we're going to just be reminiscing some old times. And so I want to welcome everybody. Welcome, Munis. Welcome to the Inner Heart podcast.
Thank you for having me.
It's only a podcast of 4 episodes.
Yeah, really, right? And I get to be the bonus episode.
Or it could be one of the 4 episodes, actually.
Okay, so you still haven't decided.
Yeah, I haven't decided yet.
You'll decide after you see how I do.
Exactly. This is a test run. So I wanted you to be on this podcast. I'm not sure if you listen to our other podcasts. However, our other episodes are all about Ramadan, Islam, how to balance both work and life, the challenges that you experience in Ramadan, actually. So we've had conversations about parenthood. We've had conversations about just giving and the importance of giving in Ramadan. And this one, and then we'll also have a political conversation.
Oh,
so I'm trying to.
I don't like politics.
You're not on that one, okay. So that's
perfect.
Great. So I'm trying to have different genres so it can resonate with almost everybody. So your episode is just on. It's going to be a fun conversation, very casual, and it's going to be our old days, our old times in MSA.
Okay, all right. It's a good thing I haven't read the questions. I don't know where this is going, by the way. This is completely unscripted.
Yes, we're going to just go with the flow because we don't need a script, actually.
There you go, absolutely.
How long do we know each other now?
It's the MSA cruise.
Yeah.
Which was what?
2012, I think.
Yeah, so
And he
13?
you weren't even part of MSA. You just came out of nowhere. Like, it was a new phase, and he wanted to help everybody out, and I was the incoming president, and he was like, I need a position. And I think you Facebook messaged me and it's like, I need a position. I can be this, and I can do this. And I was like, oh, okay, sure.
I don't remember doing that, but I do remember that cruise. That cruise was, I think when I look back to university time, that was you don't know this, but that cruise was very embarrassing for me.
Why?
Because I showed up, and so that was my first MSA event, and I'm very excited. I'm like, and that's just my personality.
Yeah.
If I'm excited about something, I just, I don't hold it in.
You
I'm
can see
excited.
it in his eyes, like you are right now.
So, exactly. So I showed up to the cruise, and I see everything's everywhere, a little disorganized, and whatever.
I was not the president.
I know. Okay, no. I'm not saying they did a bad job. In general, I just showed up and stuff needed to be done, and I'm like, all right, cool. Need food brought in from the car? Okay, sure, whatever, right? And the more I help, the more people will just ask me, like, all right, so what's happening there? And I'm like, well, I just brought the food in, X, Y, Z. So somehow I became not part, but more involved than I thought I was going to be.
So you became part of the MSA within
honestly
minutes.
Yeah, de facto, and nobody invited me in. And then after that, there was a time. So the embarrassing part is a time came where at the end the MSA was going to take a picture of that year, so 2012 MSA picture. And I don't know what I was thinking or what I was doing, and I was helping somebody out, and someone, I think someone said this, or I don't even know if somebody called me or not, but I just went and took a picture. So
I do remember that.
Do you? Oh my
god! You were holding.
I don't know.
Was there a trophy or something?
No.
There was something. But I remember you now. You're right.
So
you took a photo with us.
Yeah. So that picture, it wasn't until after the picture, because the picture I just thought, I'm like, all right, just a bunch of people taking a picture. I took a picture. So it wasn't until after the picture that I realized, like, wait, that was their MSA picture, and I'm not the MSA, and why did I just insert myself into a group?
You're part of the 2012 and 2013 MSA.
So I'm sorry. So everyone who was in 2012 MSA who I barged in on, I'm sorry.
Actually, no, I want to correct that. I think we were the 2012 MSA. So that was 2011.
Honestly, time's a blur.
Because it was so long ago, I am just like, that was over 10 years ago.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. 13,
so we've known each other for over 10 years.
Absolutely.
That was the question. Yes.
Yes.
They say that if you know someone for 10 years, then most likely you're going to know them for the rest of your life.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. I wanted this to be just a conversation about how MSA days were, what we learned, if we learned anything from MSA, the environment that we created. Because I think at least in the year that in the 2012 year when I was president, I don't even know your role. I actually had no idea what your role was.
I did everything.
You did everything.
Everything I did.
Yeah, you were the jack of all trades. He did do everything.
Oh, I did get the MVP award.
Yes.
For the MSA that year.
Actually, that was there's a little
story behind it?
Yeah, I made that happen too.
Oh, okay, there you go.
You can make anything happen. Anyways, yeah, so I just want to talk about how did our lives transition from MSA to like the workplace, and then outside of workplace, how, you know, we try to keep our values that we learned from MSA still embodied in our everyday life almost. So I'm going to just start from the beginning and ask first, how do you describe your MSA days? The 1 year that you were in, I guess.
They were fun. It's not just 1 year, because even after the following years, even though I wasn't part of the MSA, but I still was friends with everybody who was in the MSA. So I always hung out in the MSA office, ate with them, chilled with them. So without any responsibilities.
Yeah.
So yeah, I count that as 2-3 years of just MSA life.
Yeah.
How do I reflect back on them? Very fondly. I think university in general is a time where people are going through a lot of educational stress, plus a lot of life stress. If not stress, then at least it is a transformative stage of life, right? Everyone is growing, becoming who they are, discovering themselves honestly, right? And it is those crucial years where if in that crucial time, if you can connect with the correct people whose values you can, because there's a saying, if you spend enough time with someone, you're either learning from them or they're learning from you. There's no third option. So if you hang out with the wrong crowd who are either slacking or, you know, who are partying and whatever, right? Whose values you don't want to inherit, that is going to transfer over. So MSA, I look fondly because between lectures, honestly, even exams or day-to-day basis, I got this crowd whose values I very much aligned with, to be a safe space, a space for me to decompress, to have a little bit of, you know, just a few laughs before the next lecture.
I think we spent more time in MSA than in our classrooms. Probably. I used to say I used to go to university really for the extracurricular, and I worked on campus, so it was the two things. And then classes were on the side that I would just attend.
So absolutely, there are students who just go for that 2-3 hours of lectures, and then they come home, and if there's 3 hours lecture and, you know, few hours break, they look for something to do.
Yeah.
For us, that was our thing to do. So between lectures, our friends, and you can drop by MSA office at any time. There would be a bunch hanging out, going out to eat, playing Jenga. Jenga! I remember for some reason,
we had Jenga in the office.
We just played Jenga crazy.
We got the mini fridge in the office
yes,
as well.
That was one of our accomplishments. Mini
Only
fridge.
halal drinks allowed in the mini fridge. But we got a few things in the fridge because we made it our home. Like literally, I think the guys, like you guys, actually stayed there a long time.
So much
and then
time.
I remember me and the girls wanted to be in the office, but we would get kicked out because you guys were in there.
So nobody would kick you out, but yes, I get it. It was a small office. It was a small office, and I do agree with that. I think guys just hang out there so much that I remember there were times where sisters complained, saying, "What the heck? Like you guys are always in the office. We never get to hang out."
It was the best 400 square feet that we had.
Not even 400 square feet.
It was actually very little.
It was small.
And then we would be cramped in there.
15 by
with
15
our halal
maybe.
gap still in the middle.
15 by 15. So it was
30, crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think MSA, I remember MSA exactly like that too. I was part of MSA, I believe, from 2010. Maybe in my second year I joined. And at that time there were like no South Asians in MSA. It was very nice because there was diversity in it, and I learned a lot actually from seeing different types of Muslims. Like not like in terms of like our fundamental belief was different, but everybody practiced Islam actually in a different way, which is actually the general truth in the world. We just think we are more similar, but there are certain differences, or you understand or you question, why does my culture do this? Because then we started being exposed to all these different types of Muslims, which I thought was very interesting. But yeah, we would just go to class as a side thing and then go to MSA and just hang out there. My GPA went downhill right after I joined MSA.
Absolutely. So as much fun as it was, and as productive and fruitful as it was in terms of maintaining our values and teaching us about, how, as you said, different people practice differently.
Our education
it wasn't the best thing for grades.
our education
It was very
affected.
easy to.
We still
get.
made it actually.
We
so
did
it's fine.
absolutely, yeah. But it was still
Yeah.
not the best thing for your
Yeah,
grades.
no, my GPA went like this.
We were
like,
having
it
too
was
much fun.
insane. Yeah, we had.
Yeah.
I think it was distracted, and actually, we had a couple of classes outside of MSA. We had classes for finance and I think management or global management.
So
or
we were
something.
both in the GMS major.
We had a
right?
couple. We had Sahar also
Yeah,
in our
I
class.
remember her.
Yeah, and I remember Munis always wanted to cheat off of us. So
What are you talking about?
I remember he used to do those quizzes, random quizzes on and you'll be like, Mario, what's the answer? Yes, I remember that.
remember.
And then
No.
he created a WhatsApp group. He created a WhatsApp group and got 100 people by the end of it.
That
or
I
50,
remember.
right?
So it
Yeah.
was a big lecture, and beginning of every lecture there was a quiz, and it was on the clicker,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And a question would appear on the screen.
Before he would ask me, and then later you started asking the whole class. And then he created a WhatsApp group for it, and everybody would like.
All right, this is a podcast. All right, you're not
That's
supposed to paint your guests like this. This is I don't.
But
I
see,
don't-
you were business minded the whole time. It shows what you're doing.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. It's
Yeah.
but I don't
it's-
take a lot of things seriously. That's both my strength and weakness.
No, but that's good in the sense that I think your collaborative characteristic
yes.
and mindset is actually what we saw in MSA a lot, and that's why you won the MVP, because it was very like, let me do this, let me do that. Where can I help you? Where are the gaps in the whole the gaps in the middle? What can we do to improve something?
Yeah.
So I think you've always been like that.
I've always been a
Yeah.
team oriented
Yeah.
person.
You actually are.
I enjoy being,
Yes.
being in the team.
Yeah, it's funny because not all MSAs are very team building, team bonding.
I don't know. While I was there, it was a productive team, and
We've had
who
some
carried who doesn't matter.
We've had some sisterly cat fights. We've had
No, brothers were chill, just eating out Jenga
Yeah.
and classes.
Yeah. So, okay. So you've basically said that your MSA days were probably one of the most memorable days from university
Absolutely,
life,
yeah.
and which is great. So, what do you think that you've learned, like in terms of other than like casual? Yes, you had a great time. Company is very important, which you still hang out with actually,
Mm-hmm.
which is amazing. But before we get to the bond and creating all these friendships, what do you think that you learned, like you actually learned in the MSA, or how did you grow as a person by being in the MSA?
That's a tough question. How did I?
Or do you think that, because I do think, like personally, I think I evolved as a person, like as a human being, by being in the MSA, just because of my role, because I was nominated as president. I never thought that I would be, and I was a pretty shy person. I don't know, I was pretty introverted. I always tried to push myself, but I wasn't that extroverted. And then all of a sudden I had to deal with a whole team and so many different personalities.
Surprising. I remember, or I can pinpoint your transition in my
Yeah?
mind, because absolutely the
So other
start of
people
it.
noticed?
Oh, absolutely. The start of it,
Okay.
you were, as you said,
Yeah.
an introverted
Yeah.
person. If not introverted, at least not so
Like, yes, just more
outspoken.
reserved. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then you were placed in a position where you had to make decisions. You had to deal with,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
conflict between different events or different people,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and you grew from it. I can
So
tell.
I say that because of MSA, I developed certain very crucial characteristic skills that I have right now, or soft skills that I have. I think I really built them or laid the foundations for them in MSA. So do you feel like you have something similar, or is it just me perhaps? I don't know.
don't. I'm thinking
You've already perfect.
So no. So I have been an extrovert my entire life.
But it
and
doesn't have to be an
I get it.
extrovert.
I know.
Yeah.
No. I know. But if I think about it, I learned from it. I enjoyed that time. Maybe someone else can pinpoint how I've changed, but
Yeah.
in this moment right now, I can't pinpoint
Do you
how I might
think,
have changed.
because I mentioned that there's diversity in MSAs, and we're not always all the same, and there are certain things that come up, especially when you're within a group of such close proximity, like everybody's so in close proximity. Do you feel like, not your characteristic, let's say you were always like that, but Islamic, like spiritual wise, do you feel that you were exposed to certain people, certain or different things or different methods or traditions that really like opened your eyes, or you went and researched something further?
No, so I would say I made a lot of friends who were quite different from who I was, yourself included, right?
Oh, like
Just different
characteristic,
personalities.
yeah,
Absolutely,
personality
right?
wise.
Different.
Okay.
So this was one of those times where we were working collaboratively towards events, towards projects, and I was learning how to work with those people better. So I think I had refined those skills, as you said, different people from different
Yeah.
backgrounds and different ethnicities.
Yeah.
So yes, it did help me
Maybe you're a better
bond.
leader because now you know how to deal with different personalities, and you know how people may react in different situations, since you've seen so many different types.
You know what? Okay, so yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'd say that university is the time where we are in our late teens, early 20s, and everyone's passionate, everyone has the right intentions, but conflict arises because everyone's so passionate. So I did face situations where people were right on both sides, and we just had to deal with the conflict. So I think it did help with conflict resolution before I entered the workforce.
Okay, so learning how to be more objective.
Absolutely. So exactly. So now, if I was somebody who had just if I wasn't in the MSA or other groups, had I just gone to my classes and then to the library and then to the home, I would have had to learn those skills later on in life.
Well, okay, this is a good segue now that you mentioned work. And I really wanted to kind of take the listener on this journey with us. So we, in MSA, we've met different people, we've grown or, refined, or maybe not even refined, but, maybe refined, because you said you didn't really learn too much in the MSA. So you just refined your
just right now skills. I can't think of something.
Yeah, you refined your people skills. And now you've entered the workforce. So you've graduated now, and because we said we were around MSA, like so much of our time was around MSA, which means you're around Muslims, you're around mostly like-minded people, because why else would you hang out with them? And you're meeting all your prayers, because we all prayed in the prayer room, and everything is a bit easier when you're in a bubble, is what I'm going to say. Let's just say, because I thought the MSA card, you're with good people, and it's not difficult to practice your religion. So now you enter the workforce. Did you feel that there was a transition or a difference now you're with people who are not maybe as practicing, or they're not practicing, or they're non-Muslims?
So I would say once you've matured and you hold your values close to you, then most of the people out there, they're not out to get you. People in general, they're not bad, they're not racist, they're not, in general, most people are nice. So if you hold your values close and you just do what you need to do, and you're good with people, you generally tend to have people be good to you. That's my experience.
You attract.
Absolutely. Exactly, right? Your vibe attracts your tribe. So just...
Okay, so you never really so you didn't feel that there was a transition per se, but you also work in I guess there are a lot of Muslims at your workplace, right?
Yes.
Isn't it run by was that your first job outside of university, where you're doing right now currently?
No, remember I was in the military.
Oh yeah, the military. Oh, okay, so there's no
I know. So no, okay.
So wasn't it hard to pray 5 times a day there, eat halal all the time?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that was a challenge.
And they drink, like drinking. It's
absolutely. So
the environment.
So it's one of those things where if you hold true to your beliefs, most people will not come in your way.
Yeah, so it's bother.
Absolutely. There was a time I remember. So this is something I found out after I graduated, or finished my courses. But when I was in early years of my military career, I was on BMQ, basic military qualification, which is like kindergarten of the military. I remember there was a time where I think the first day Fajr time, I went running to my sergeant and I said, "Say, Sergeant, can I take 2 minutes to pray?" Because in the Army, especially BMQ, they leave you with no extra time. No time. You're every minute you're doing something. You're running around. Absolutely. Yeah. It's not just they're teaching you different values. Absolutely, right. And I went running. I'm like, hey, can I take 2 minutes? He looked. I remember him so clearly. He looked me straight in the eye, and this is the time where I'm like, talking to a scary sergeant who's been yelling at me all day, and non-Muslim. He looks at me in the eye and he said, "You most certainly can." I just remember his words, like his beret was up there.
That's actually really like,
right? He just said, "You most certainly can," and then from then onwards, I just had to work a little bit extra, a little bit faster than everyone else, just to save 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes for my prayers. Wow. So I remember Fajr time, like we would have PT. We'd wake up at 4, go for the run, do the PT, and then come back, shower, and then get ready for the classes. There would be very little time. And I remember coming out of the shower and just throwing my towel on the floor and just quickly praying. And maybe the first day people noticed, the second day people noticed, and I don't know, maybe might have not liked it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I remember that towards the end of it, my non-Muslim friends were reminding me, hey, Siddiqui, you didn't pray today. Because sometimes you forget. And I would like, oh my goodness, we've been so busy. Oh my goodness, I missed my Zohar prayer or whatever. And I remember people, like my good friends, literally reminding me.
And these are non-Muslims.
Non-Muslims, like, hey, Siddiqui, you didn't pray today. And I'm like, oh my goodness, okay, all right, here you go. Watch my duty, just cover for me. I'm going to take 2 minutes to pray.
Yeah. That's amazing.
That is amazing.
So it's, if they see that you're true to your values and it means something to you, nobody's going to stop you from practicing, and they'll actually help you and support you.
Your vibe attracts your tribe. I'm a big believer in that. There's good and bad people. There's
You didn't feel, was there any like racism or discrimination that because a lot of people, I only brought this up, I'm bringing this up because some people are like, I can't pray outside because, like, what if somebody sees me? Or I don't feel, it's like, it's like
the shyness,
or like we're in their country and I don't want to be like overstepping. I don't know, I've heard these comments before where people are just nervous to be themselves.
I think you are projecting whatever your own insecurities are. So from the get-go, yes, there might have been people who didn't like me, and there were people who I didn't like,
But you don't even notice.
I didn't notice. Yeah. Honestly, I don't notice. I was in a class of 50, and I do not remember. Right now, as I sit here, I cannot remember someone I didn't like. In the moment, I probably did, and they probably didn't like me. Some people, but I didn't care. I wasn't bothering anyone. I was doing my job. And Army, when it comes to, so that's another thing. Army is one of those situations where you are so hard pressed for time, for effort. Your job, like you're given different tasks, difficult tasks, and it is a very group thing. So when you finish a task, when you finish a task, the whole group gets to rest. If you don't finish a task,
you're actually thriving in military because you love team bonding.
So
it actually worked for you. Yeah.
And then if you don't finish a task, then the whole group gets punished. So
collective punishment.
Exactly. So it might have been that, the day 1, day 2, people didn't like each other for their looks or backgrounds or whatever. By the end of it, nobody cared where you were from, what you looked like, as long as you were pulling your weight.
Yeah.
And because of you, their life was easier, not harder. They liked you.
Yeah.
You could be their identical twin, but if because of them, your life was harder, you were getting punished because they weren't pulling their weight and doing all the jobs and moving quick enough, then you hated them.
So I guess that's the real world, right? Like as long as it's I guess conditional in that sense though, but it's not judgmental as long as you're also contributing and you're also pulling your weight. But I think you just probably didn't realize, even let's just say there was someone who was like not comfortable with you praying outside or praying Fajr or skipping for like 2 minutes when they can't leave or something. You probably just didn't realize because that's just not what you were looking for. You're not looking to create a problem. You're just like, I'm there and this is me. Yeah. I think that's what's really like, that's what I've noticed about you over the last like how many years we know each other. I think you're very authentic to yourself. And I think maybe that's why you couldn't answer some of the questions about like, oh, what did you learn or how did you transition? Because I think you've always been true to yourself. So for you, it's not a problem. So it's not a problem because a lot of times if you talk to people are like, they're struggling, they're going through certain things, but the root problem is because they haven't figured themselves out yet. But I think you kind of have, which is great. And What do you think keeps you going? Because you haven't changed actually.
Yeah.
In the last like so many years.
I've always been.
Yeah. You're always like you're the same. So
I remember I was watching a video of Tony Robbins, who's a coach.
Yeah.
And he gave an example. He called up a person, or I think he was talking to a guest, and he said, "Look, I'll give you 5 seconds. Look around the room. Tell me." Just look around the room and tell me how many red things you see, right? So the person looked around, the person's like, all right, yeah, I see 5 red things. And then Tony said, all right, how many green things did you see? And he goes, I don't know. And he goes, you don't know this because you weren't looking for green things. You were looking for red things, right? So our mind picks up what you want to, right? Our mind picks up what's on our mind. So it's one of those things where if you are looking for people who don't like you, I'm sure there are people who don't like me. Sure the people who don't like, who might not like you. But
if you're so uncomfortable praying outside, let's just say, I'm going to use that as an example, you probably will find people who are eyeing you down.
Honestly, I'm not somebody who lives in a bubble. I deal with people on a daily basis. I work in a profession. In the army, I worked with many people, and then since then, now I'm a real estate agent. I work with different clients every day of all nationalities, of all ethnicities. So I think there's a balance to be found. Yes, you can pray whenever you want to, whenever you need to, but at the same time, don't rub it in someone's face. Don't cause someone inconvenience. Don't give someone, like, if you can avoid, look, if there's a corner that I can pray in, why would I pray in the middle of the street, right? Why would I pray for maximum disturbance, or that's not the the purpose. Exactly. That's not the purpose of prayers, right? So just pray in your corner.
Don't attract too much unnecessary attention.
Exactly, right? You do what you need to do while being the least abrasive self.
Okay.
So I'm not looking to cause anyone trouble. I will, in fact, take my time to find a quiet corner.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not throwing my faith in someone's face. Right? But at the same time, if I'm doing something in a corner, then sure there are people who are staring, but let them.
Yeah. Okay. So it seems that you've built the right crowd in your university. You have good friends, and you probably still talk to a lot of them.
We have a WhatsApp group. No? Absolutely. Alhamdulillah. We have a WhatsApp group almost like 30, 40.
Oh, yeah, I do hear about this WhatsApp. Is it really 30, 40?
Yeah. It's
all guys, right?
All guys.
Yeah. Oh, God.
We're literally...
That's a chaotic group.
And they chill every Friday. Every single Friday. And not all of them. So every Friday out of the group, out of 30, maybe 5 can chill. Great. That Friday.
Yeah, whoever can meet.
Whoever can make it.
That's great, actually. Yeah. Actually, that's the way to do it in adulthood. There's no way. I mean, we're missing one person here, so it's
we are.
It's no way that all of our schedules will align. It's crazy. But I was gonna say, since you have a group of 40 men, and
not 40, I think like
40 or 30,
yeah.
or 30. I have a friend who's, on a side note, I have a friend who
is looking to get married.
No,
I'm sorry, I can't.
Some girls we do have a WhatsApp group where it's like, I'm talking to this person. Have you talked to this person before? Or like, because it's the same people going sometimes around. So I bet you in those 30 people, are they all married? No. They probably circulated in our WhatsApp group.
Honest, probably. I don't know.
Yeah, but okay, that's really nice though to have such a tight-knit brotherhood, and you've had this for like years, right?
Since university, right? Support system, and that's not my only group either. So it's like I have a group from high school. I have a group, this group. Then I have a group from the army days. Then
have you ever tried to join all of your groups together?
No. It won't. It won't
jive.
It won't, exactly.
I've tried to do that, and it's true, it doesn't jive.
No, completely. It doesn't. It just
but
too
it makes
much
life easier. It's hard to
No, it
meet
doesn't.
up with.
No, I don't think it would make, because I have an army group, so to speak. I mean, and I have an army group, guys who I graduated with. We have a completely different.
I was gonna say a different
experience. The
different connection, different experiences, different interests.
Exactly. The jokes that are being made there may not fly with the MSA group, right? The MSA jokes made or posts may not jive with others.
Okay. So it seems like so team is very important to you, friends are very important to you. You think it really shapes your characteristic, and we've talked about how you're very authentic to yourself, or that's what you believe in. And I haven't seen any difference actually. Yeah. But I think you are very authentic to yourself, which is great. Actually, stay that way. So it seems like those are your key critical support systems, or that's what keeps you in check, I guess, whenever things go wrong. So if things not working well, you have a support, so you can go to your WhatsApp group if you needed help. And if you feel like you're going against yourself, your personality probably will start, retracing your steps, like, oh, this is not me. So it looks like you have some stuff in place to keep you in check, make sure you're on the right path. And I was thinking, because we're coming from an MSA topic, do you feel that the younger crowd now, there's a lot of hybrid happening, no, people don't they're not in person anymore as much in university. Do you think, or would you tell someone who's a younger listener that how important extracurricular is?
Absolutely. So the hybrid system, or work from home or study from home, I am so against it.
You have a traditionalist in the house.
Yeah, I am, man. It's so, as an extrovert, maybe that's because I'm an extrovert, and an introvert might have a different take on this. But I think going out there, meeting with people, just learning to talk to them, learning to work with them, is just a very crucial part of growing up. Otherwise, you're going to be 30-something and then have gone through, and a lot of times you can't. So that time, once it's gone, you can't replicate it. There's no getting it back, right? So the university time, that's a time where you don't have a wife and kids. Probably you don't have responsibilities, or that many responsibilities. There's room for you to explore and meet people and
you get to grow up.
experience things, right? Or discover yourself, as some people say. So if you don't discover yourself during those years, then you are a lost adult. I don't know how else to put it.
Or you're just learning those characteristics much later in your life.
Everyone
which
learns,
probably,
but
learn.
Do you want to learn when you're, do you want to learn something in your 30s that you should have learned in your teens? Maybe not.
I do think you do learn. Life will teach you in one way or another, but it's better to learn it. I do believe in that. I don't know how, in the COVID years, students didn't even go to university for I know someone who said she only went to university for 1 year because of the COVID years. So she started university in COVID. I
feel so bad for her.
Yeah, it's really bad. I'm like, it was like the best, it was just the most fruitful years.
COVID is an exception. COVID, a lot of times.
But I think they become introverted because of that.
Yes.
Yeah, you lose a lot of yourself. Like I said, I built soft skills by being an extracurricular and working on campus. Now imagine if I didn't have that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I wouldn't be having this podcast.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah, no, it happens. Okay, so in your group of MSA guys of like 30 chaotic men in there, but what do you guys do for fun? Like I'm trying to dive into like this now, halal entertainment. That's what I want to get into.
That's such a, so first off, I don't think you need to look for halal entertainment. Entertainment is entertainment, and majority of it doesn't need to be haram.
I guess what I'm trying to get at, because I said halal entertainment specifically, because when you're younger, and if you're all like, you're just surrounded by like, just let's just say MSA individuals who are like-minded within the same group. Did you ever feel any temptations of like doing you're at university, you're downtown?
Why not?
Yeah. Do you guys did it like you learn together, or like?
So it's one of those things where obviously we're humans. Temptations everywhere. So of course, 100% people are tempted, but when you're in a group, it is easier to hold true to your values. Yeah. So on an individual basis, if someone might have thought that, hey, I'm by myself, or lonely, and they might have been more susceptible to some temptations.
Yeah, it helps when you're with a large group of people who are
you're
the
busy.
same.
Exactly, your mind's empty minds. What's the saying? Empty minds, the devil's workshop. Right? Yeah. So if your mind's full, as in your entertainment is whether it's
You distract, like, I mean,
not
you don't
distracted,
need
you're
you
full.
don't
Absolutely,
need
you're playful.
distractions.
Exactly.
I should say that.
You have
Yeah.
friends to hang out with.
Yeah.
You have friends to play Jenga with, video
yeah.
games with,
You're not
go eating
lonely.
out with.
Yeah.
Exactly. If you're not lonely, if your plate is full, you're
So do you think
good.
that it helped, like,
which part?
I mean, like being with a large group of people who are probably in the same type of like fun as you?
So yes, but honestly, it's been 15 years close to, right? This MSA people, like
God,
MSA group,
it's been that long.
yeah, like 13,
Yeah.
13, 14,
Yeah.
14 years. So now
Yeah.
everyone has grown.
We haven't
up
even
to be,
aged.
no, so we have aged and we have
Yeah.
grown up to be our own individual
Yeah.
people, and people have drifted apart or
Yeah.
their tastes have changed.
Yeah.
So it's not that all 30 people are about just
Yeah.
one thing.
Yeah.
Some out of the 30, maybe 5 are into video games, 5 are into eating out, 5 are into games rooms, right?
Oh,
5
okay.
are into.
Do you guys ever
smoke
all
shisha.
meet together?
No.
Does it ever
all
happen?
Of them?
Yeah.
No, it's life's busy. Life
Yeah,
gets
yeah.
busy. As you
But
grow
did it
up, so
ever
it's-
happen before?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay,
Well,
that's a fun reunion.
I think the last time I had everybody over was maybe 5 years ago when Khabib was fighting
Okay.
McGregor.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Oh, I'm sorry,
yeah,
I don't follow, so I don't know.
I'm having a blank
Brain-
right now.
brain fart.
Exactly. When Khabib was fighting for the
Yeah.
belt, I had, I think, 22 guys show up,
Oh,
and
damn.
we all watched it
okay.
together. Yeah. So
Okay.
Conor McGregor. Yeah. So
That's actually really cool.
yeah. So
Okay.
that was good.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not. You still have different bonding with all these different people.
Trying to capture everybody, honestly, like it's like herding sheeps. So
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
never gonna get everyone
Yeah.
there at the same time. Some I've grown closer to, some I've
Yeah.
drifted apart from. We're still
Okay.
friends. We can still count on each other.
Yeah.
We still have history,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But that's okay. That now I'm in a different stage of life. You are in a different stage
Yeah.
of life. You are, maybe into video games now, and I don't
think
like video
that's-
games.
I think that's one of the hardest things that people learn, actually, that it's okay to have friends in certain chapters of your life. Like, you still know them, but you do grow out sometimes. You go through different stages of your life. Or maybe it's not that you and I are friends in this chapter of our life, but we reconnect later on, perhaps. But I think it's
So
one of the
it's one of those
hardest
things,
thing about adulthood. I think because sometimes you're so close to so many people, and I think when we were like in university, we knew a lot of people. Like, I think I have slowly, yes, drifted apart from a lot of people, but not in a bad way.
Yeah.
But in a good way, where it's like
That's
everybody
okay.
kind of does their own thing.
Look, absolutely.
Yeah.
Look, your life expands, right? Your
Yeah.
life expands. Simplest example, look at your parents and look how often they talk to their siblings,
Yeah.
right? Maybe once a week, maybe once every 3
Yeah.
days, right? Compared to they grew up together,
Yeah.
right?
That's
Now,
actually
if-
sad
I know,
when you
I
put
know,
it that
but-
way.
Yeah,
It's
but-
actually really sad.
But that's life.
That's
now,
life.
That's
yeah.
life. So
I think it's
when
the hardest truth, though,
you
that
have-
I've
you have-
learned in adulthood.
You have limited
Yeah.
time, right?
Yeah.
It's not that you don't care about the people, but let's say I have 3 kids right now.
Mashallah.
Alhamdulillah. So
Yes.
with every kid, I had more attention to give,
Yeah.
more
A
more
part
time.
of you is going
exactly
with each
reserved. So
one.
now,
Yeah.
am I gonna have the same amount of time for my friends? And
No.
probably not.
Yeah.
And it's okay to be more selective.
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
okay, right? So we have gone, out of the group. There's a few of us who like hiking, and there's a few of us who like video games.
Yeah.
I personally do not like video games.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I just never got into it.
It's because
And-
maybe
and
you're
that's
like
okay.
a solo. You like talking to people, being with people hands on.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Perhaps.
Video games can also
Yeah.
be social. You know,
Yeah.
the people make
Actually,
friends all
yeah,
the time. Yeah, right.
Online.
Play online. Yeah.
Hold on. Have you ever met like their wives? Like, have you combined? Have you guys started to combine wives and like go on event? It just strictly.
Strictly, yeah. Somehow.
Oh my God, this is like a gentleman's club.
So I have
Yeah.
different groups. Other groups, yes,
Okay.
we have. Our wives get along.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay,
they
okay.
can go through that phase, and I think as you grow
That's actually
older,
really interesting to have a group of people where it's almost separated.
So-
which may be a good
yeah.
thing because it's your safe haven or your, like men, like their
But-
cave. or
No,
like-
but at the same time, you know, it's when you get married, your wife becomes the biggest part of your life,
Yeah.
right? So to speak.
as
So
she should.
It's
yes.
So it's important that she gets to be part of your hangouts and your,
Yeah,
and your downtime as well, the fun
Yeah.
time. So that is why I think it's super important for your wives to be able to become friends with your friends' wives.
I actually think that's very important.
And that is, I think.
Otherwise, you have two different lives. You're kind of
So
like-
I actually think that as you grow older, you have less and less time for your friends, unless your wife becomes friends with their wife, and you can
hang out
convert it into a family fun
Yes.
time. If you can convert it to family fun time,
Yeah.
then you have a lot more chances of spending time with that friend
Yeah.
and maintaining
Yeah.
closeness.
I think that's like our family, friends. Like
Yeah.
maybe you too. I don't know if you have. Do you have a lot of family in Canada?
Yeah.
Oh, you do actually. Okay.
Yeah, my grandparents, my parents, my
Oh, you
aunts
do
and
have
uncles.
family.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah,
I don't know why I didn't know this, but I don't have much family in Canada. So when we came, we kind of created our own circle of friends, and I think we only flourished because the dads got along, the moms got along, then the kids got along. Now the kids, we hang out, and sometimes the parents don't because they're too busy or there's some, different chapters.
That's part of growing up.
Yeah.
That's part of growing up.
Yeah.
Your family is going to become the biggest part of your life.
Yeah.
And unless you incorporate your family into your
Yeah.
friends somehow,
Yeah,
You're gonna
it's hard to
depart.
sustain it. It's just hard to sustain
Yeah.
because there's only so much of you that can go around, right? We
Yep.
need to duplicate you then. Elon Musk is probably thinking of how to do that. Okay, so it looks like you're true to your core, and I think Islam plays a big part in your life. Like, nobody would just get up and talk to their surgeon saying that I want to go pray Fajr, right? So I think Islam has always been a true part. Where's your like, I think everybody has this actually. Every Muslim probably has this moment where you feel like, I think there's people that say, like, I'm a revert because I almost revived and like relearned Islam, and then now I'm passionate about it. I remember my moment. So do you remember that moment where you were like, okay, you know what, Islam's real, it's good for me, it's good for my mental well-being, it's good for me spiritually, emotionally, physically. Do you remember that moment that makes you like, this is what I want to do, this is me?
you know what? MSA was that moment, I think.
Oh, there we got
So
the
yes, so now it just brought me back to the other question.
okay.
Because before MSA, my practicing level and my distractions and temptation level and all of that, like the teenage years were less practicing. MSA, that's when I was figuring myself out, finding myself, and I think it's a blessing that I found the group and I connected
For
with
sure.
MSA,
Yeah.
so that it helped me bring back to where I wanted to
Yeah.
be, right?
Okay. Did it help you like revisit fundamentals? Of course. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then the rest is, you grow up and you slowly get inspired or affected by people around you. So marrying the right partner is crucial. And I think, thank God for my wife, she has brought me closer and kept me closer. So
To Islam.
first thing would be Ryerson, second thing would be my spouse, my wife, yeah.
So we're not saying that Ryerson comes before
No,
you.
no,
I don't
it
wa-
did
I
come
don't
before.
know-
It came in maybe like 5 years
I'm
ahead.
team woman here still. So before I let you go, I try to play. Before we play the game, actually, because I try to
Okay.
play a game at the end with every guest, I want to ask you a more intellectual question, spiritual question based on our conversation,
Okay.
and that's how we'll end it. And it's also advice for our guests, for our viewers. I mean, so what is the one thing that you think that helped you get closer to Allah?
Adversity. So don't look at adversity as a bad thing. A lot of times adversity is brought upon you to bring you back to the correct path. So there's a line my wife always says to me: life is not happening to you, it is happening for you. So whatever you're going through in life, just stop and think, all right, whatever's happening, whether you like it or not, it is happening for you, not to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the journey that you learn from.
Yep.
Not actually.
There's no
being at the
destination.
end.
The destination is the end, right?
Exactly.
The destination is in the ground and up there.
I think that's the biggest lie that we've been told. Like, when you achieve this success, you're going to be so happy. But it's really the journey that's the fulfilling part and the contentment, and that's what you actually aspire to. Yeah. Okay, so for our game, where
Okay.
the rules for the game is very simple.
Right.
I'm gonna say one word, and whatever comes to mind, you're gonna just say it out loud, and it's going to be in the context of MSA.
Okay.
So I have 7 things, and
Okay.
whatever it reminds you of in the MSA days, that's what you're going to say. Jenga.
Jenga Master, Jenga King, JK. Yeah, we used to have like play Jenga nonstop.
JK?
Yeah, so the person who won it was JK. Like,
Oh, that's
yeah,
their
Jenga
name.
King. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just
all
we
right,
had a small
JK.
thing going. Yeah.
Okay, prayer room.
Naps in the back.
Yeah, very true. Brotherhood.
Brotherhood WhatsApp group, because we still have the WhatsApp group,
Yeah.
and it's called Friday Hangout.
That's
Brotherhood.
actually that's impressive. Yes. Sumo wrestling.
Sumo wrestling was fun. We had these big blow up bubbles.
I can't believe
that we wore.
I allowed the budget.
We wore the
for
bubbles.
this.
We were in the bubbles, and then we would basically just non-stop go and bump into each other.
I remember Nazir came with like a whole proposal. I need budget for this. I need to do this.
That was fun. That was one of the fun events.
Okay. Cruise.
Cruise was hectic.
Yes. Fantasy Farm.
Car accident. I got rear-ended on my way there when we were initially going to book the place.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so I was driving and Zakaria was sitting in the back, and we were just waiting to make a left turn into the fantasy farm. And Zakaria from the back, very nonchalant, says, "We're gonna get hit." And I'm like, "What?" 2 seconds later, boom.
Were you on the DVP turning onto Pottery Road?
Yes,
Yeah.
literally into
into it, okay.
into the yeah. So, and I'm like, Zakaria, why didn't you tell me something? Why didn't you tell me to move out of the way or something? Right?
Oh, God.
He goes, "I told you we were gonna get hit."
Hold on. So did you go and see the venue after?
Yes, yeah. We went and saw the venue. We booked it.
Oh my
So,
God.
yeah, we still did that.
I remember giving the check. I don't remember anything else.
Yeah, you were the money person.
Yeah. Oh God. Okay. Avengers.
Avengers. Oh God, that was what a
I still have the
shit
video.
show. Really, shit show is the word.
How did you allow him to produce this?
I have no idea why that happened. We were just too much time and energy.
Too much time.
Too much time and energy. Because
Okay.
now, if you told me to go through all of that,
Never.
I'm like, no, I don't have time or the energy for that.
Okay. All right. And lastly, Brotherhood.
Brotherhood.
Oh, I think we did this. Sorry.
Yeah, okay.
We did this. Okay. I think that's it. That's what we had. Oh, last one. Office. Yes.
Office. Hangout. Non-stop. Every day between classes.
Yes.
Yeah.
The best time.
It was a good time. It was
Yeah.
absolutely a good time.
Okay.
It was like a personal space to just chill with friends between lectures.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
play Jenga non-stop.
JK, now we
yeah.
know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for being on the podcast.
You're
it was
welcome.
a pleasure to have you. And we'll see all of you in the next episode. Bye,
Boom, boom,
everyone.
boom, boom.